Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Cannon Club. I'm here with Laura and maybe Femi a little bit later. We'll see. His laptop is dead, but we have another game to talk about, another win in the Premier League. I think a lot of us were hoping to see a rejuvenated, excited, vengeful? Is it revengeful or vengeful?
Vengeful.
Vengeful, because you want to get revenge. Arsenal, because we didn't do so well midweek in the Champions League, and Newcastle were owed an ass whooping, and they got one. And so we're going to talk about all of that. 4-1, loads of goals. And so, yeah, I'm excited. Laura, how are you feeling? What is your one word to describe Arsenal right now, or how you're feeling about Arsenal right now?
How am I feeling? I'm gonna go with smug. I'm feeling quite smug today.
Okay.
And I think that, it's just, as you just said, nobody was due a performance and being on the end of that as much as Newcastle were. Like, you have had that coming since the minute that full-time whistle went at St James's Park, however many months ago. Like, you have deserved that for thinking that you are a big club because you have some money. And it's the narratives around Newcastle in the press have been so annoying over the past couple of months. It's been, this sleeping giant has finally awoken. They're back to where they belong. Where do you belong? Where? Why would you belong here? Why do you
Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Right? You're just a Sunderland with a black and white strip instead of red and black. Like, let's all calm down. So I'm feeling quite smug because we gave them exactly what they deserved yesterday. The gulf between the sides is just absolutely enormous. And so I'm just feeling really smug, and I'm feeling like, one, I can't believe we lost to them a couple of months ago. Two, we were just so good last night, and they were so poor. They had nothing to threaten us with. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty smug. We've got another week until we play again next Monday night, so it's quite a long time for me to be really annoying. But I'm going to be, because Newcastle were incredibly annoying when they won back in November. So tables are turned. Let's go. Like, you think you've been petty? You haven't seen anything yet. Like, my middle name is Petty. Let's go.
And I get you 110% because it's like in November when they beat us, like it was like the biggest thing in the Premier League this season because Arteta spoke out about the goal shouldn't have stood, and all of that. And then rivals, oh, you didn't have a shot on target, you only had one shot on target. So how do you think that? Oh my gosh, I forgot the intro. I'll do it after. But it's just like, I don't know. It was almost as though like it's because it's Arsenal, they can't see how that would be frustrating, and how Newcastle were at home and they didn't really have a shot on target. It wasn't just like Arsenal didn't play well. Both teams kind of nullified each other. We defended really well, and they won off of like a very speculative goal. And Arteta was mad, and it's like this whole thing ensued. And so I feel like you could tell that like Arteta used that to like fire them up. I don't know if he showed them some videos of Bruno Guimaraes like elbowing Jorginho in the back of the head, because the amount of like just Gabriel and Declan Rice and Jorginho and all of these guys just like knocking Bruno G over. I was like, yeah, they're fired up for this. And we needed that because midweek was not great. It was like a super flat performance. And I wasn't sure if they were going to have the energy levels against Newcastle to like put in a performance like they did. But I was very, very impressed. You said something on Twitter. I wanted to ask you about the atmosphere. You said unpopular opinion about the atmosphere yesterday. What did you think of it? Did you feel like we should have been more petty, or what?
Yeah. So one thing I will say is that the club and the kind of fan groups did an amazing job at like organising additional stuff. So we had flags in the North Bank. We had a display in the clock end. There's like fire on the pitch as well. Lots of good displays. There was like the usual buy one get one free beer before the game, which I know people love. So there was everything geared towards an amazing atmosphere, and it absolutely was to start off with. It really was like absolutely kind of what you'd expect for anticipating a big game against an opponent whose fans are, in inverted commas, loud as well. You know, we thought they were going to bring the noise as well. So, you know, that what I just sort of thought is we were so dominant. There was just no threat from Newcastle whatsoever. At no point in that did I feel like I needed to scream my head off, because the talking was done, the noise was made on the pitch. And as I said, the atmosphere was cracking. It was just, there's an Emirates that's like really, really angry and petulant, and sometimes that can work really well in our favour. Like I feel like Liverpool, that was a great example where we knew how high the stakes were. They're our title rivals. Everyone's howling at every decision. But because Newcastle was so bad, it was just like, we actually don't need to. Like, I went to the Emirates fully prepared to make every effort to get Bruno Guimaraes sent off. I was like, right, I'm getting him sent off. We're getting him sent off. But they just couldn't get anywhere near us. So it kind of just felt like if I'm completely honest, by the end of it, it was a routine, dominant win over a mid-table team.
It was wild, like, because I didn't get to watch it in real time, so because I was like I was working like a tournament and stuff, and like I was like, I don't really want to check the score because I'm afraid of what's gonna happen. So I'm not gonna check anything. I'm just gonna like be calm, cool, whatever. Then when I think the game is like almost over, I'm gonna check. But in the midst of that, my phone is like going off like early on in the game, and I'm just like, what is going on here? So I check a group chat, and they're like, Gabrielle. I was like, we scored. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And then they were Kai, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is so crazy. I wish I was like actually watching the game, or maybe I should watch less so that we can win more. And so it was like insane, but I was just like, wow, we really are just playing them off the park, just like West Ham and just like Burnley. I always forget who it was that we beat up the other day.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's exactly. I'm just like, what the fuck? And so I don't know. I'm so happy that they didn't allow one loss in midweek to become 2-3 losses on the bounce. And the energy was definitely there. And it was just like very routine. It does feel like we've hit a new stride after Dubai. And again, I need to know what they did in Dubai. I have to know, because the team is just so different. And that performance was great. I watched it last night when I got home, and I was like, they didn't even touch the ball, Newcastle.
Yeah,
they weren't even there.
That first half, I was like, I cannot remember a single kind of attack. I feel like Raya hardly touched it. We played all of that first half in their, not even in their half, like in the kind of final third. And we just suffocated them every time they the ball turned over, we'd win it back. And I remember, I think it might have been after the Martinelli miss, so where he comes in flying for the header, it's a little bit high for him. One thing I noticed, that all the kind of the back four sprinting back to get in position, even though we're controlling the game, and it shows a level of discipline, a level of, okay, we're clearly on top here, but we cannot switch off for 2 seconds, because Newcastle do have a kind of potent front three who can hurt you. But I just noticed that basically by the time that Karius was ready to kick the ball, we were in position. Newcastle weren't. They were just taking forever, and it just showed a kind of desire to maintain a standard that we'd set from like the first whistle. Because I think we got a corner in the first minute, and it was the kind of polar opposite of Wednesday, where Declan Rice got yellow card straight away, and we kind of, from that very moment, you're like, oh, this is going to be, this already feels quite difficult. Whereas this was like, right, okay, they're up for this. I've never seen Jorginho so up for it.
He was so good.
He was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's funny because we almost like celebrate corners like penalties now, because we're so good at them. It's like, okay, this is basically a penalty. Like, they're probably gonna score. I'm loving it. And it's like something that I feel like people were almost like weirdly upset about was that, like, and I feel like I was kind of like this as well, like feeling like we're not scoring enough open play goals and we're only scoring from set pieces. Now I'm like, give me all the corners you got. I don't really care how the ball goes in the back of the net. So it was exciting. Yeah,
And
go
if you
ahead.
look at the combination of those goals as well, when we do score from open play, they are really good, well worked goals. So we can be set play FC and we can still play the Arsenal way, as we call it. The combination of the two is incredibly powerful, and it's given us however many goals we've scored in the last so many games is
Like 25
like
goals.
ridiculous. To the extent where I'm genuinely struggling to remember these goals. People keep talking about Saka's goal against Burnley, and I'm like, oh, which one is that?
I
Because
know.
they're all blurring together because there's so many.
He scored like what? A goal in like every game, like the last 7 games or something like that.
Mhm.
Like he's involved in like everything, and we have scored loads of goals. I think I saw a stat that like we've now in this like since Dubai or something like that, we've scored half as many goals as Man United have scored all season. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I just peeked over towards Liverpool and Chelsea, and I was like, please, for the love of God. Who do you want to win that game? Do you care?
So struggling to care. We'll call it a Mickey Mouse Cup regardless. I can't decide because it's either a kind of Jurgen Klopp fest, which I'm going to hate, or it's Chelsea fans who are the worst fan base being happy. I can't
Yep.
decide, but both of them are dreadful outcomes. But I don't
Whatever.
know.
Whatever, like, I feel like I just edge being okay with Liverpool winning it because
Yeah.
I'm not prepared for Chelsea fans to be, Punch has won a trophy in this first.
Yeah, I'm not prepared for the narrative that at the end of the season, if we don't win anything and they've won the Carabao Cup and finished 11th, that they've had a better season than us.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not interested. So
We're
yeah,
not doing this.
Liverpool, do your nonsense. I feel like I've seen them play this final at least 4 times though. It always
Oh,
goes to
yeah.
penalties. It always ends 0-0 or something like that. I feel like I've seen this so many times, so it's like whatever. But
Yeah.
back to the Arsenal. I guess my one word would be I'm feeling, I don't know, it's not really me, but I kind of feel like, yeah, like a little bit like dominant. It's like we're out here dominant as hell. Like it's just
Mhm.
when Arteta said, like, I'll never forget because like his first interview when he first like got here, he said like, I want to have the ball as much as possible. I want to be in the opponent's half as much as possible. I want to do this. And like it was like his version of like what a dominant Arsenal side would look like. And it's taken us quite a bit of time to get there, but that definition is exactly like what we are at this moment after Dubai. We just dominate in every like sector of the pitch, like whether it's set pieces, defending, scoring loads of goals, dominating the area, pressing, everything. And I'm like, we're finally seeing exactly like what Arteta wants, and we are still missing key players. We don't have a striker. Like, there's so many levels that this team can continue to go up, and so I'm just feeling like Arsenal are incredibly dominant, and if we can maintain this from now until the end of the season, we may be able to do something. I do keep peeking towards like our run in, and I do kind of feel like it's really a difficult run in. But we tend to do well against the bigger sides and stuff. So we'll see how that all goes. But in terms of like this game, we were incredibly dominant. What was your moment of the match?
Oh, what was my moment of the match? I think. Oh, I think. Do you know, I'm going to give it to the Kai goal because I think the whole passage of play was just brilliant. The
Yeah.
ball over the top from Jorginho, the run from Martinelli, the kind of pass back across the goal that Havertz buries. It was just showed a real understanding of where everyone is, where the ball needs to be put into these spaces, and it was a really lovely move. And it also, we just scored the header, like not or own goal. I think it's gone down as not that long before, and so it just kind of carried our momentum forward. And for Kai to kind of have the confidence of like a little bit of a tap in, I don't care, he's getting his foot in it, and there is always such a different reaction when everyone realizes it's Kai because people want him to do well. You have this real sense amongst Arsenal now that maybe he had a slightly slow start, but you want him to do well. And when he is there and you realize it's him who scored the goal, it's like another level of happiness, which you're just delighted for him, and it was just an incredible passing move.
It really was like, it was like the perfect like Arsenal type goal. I had that written down as my moment too, but I have another one. But yeah, I think with Kai, like he had a performance yesterday where you didn't have to squint to see it. It didn't feel like you had to put any extra mustard on it to make it seem better than it was, or it wasn't just about duels or anything. Like he genuinely had a really good game. And I'm wondering if like, I was kind of like feeling like, yeah, he should be playing in midfield, but now I'm kind of thinking that maybe up front is maybe a better position for him for us, because it's not really like playing just like a striker. But it gives us the opportunity to use Jorginho in the midfield, which I feel like is our better midfield. What are your feelings on it? Like, do you feel like since, Kai's been here for like 6 months or so, do you feel like you've seen a better version of him up front, or do you think like his midfield performances are good too?
I think it's slightly better up front, and I think the reason for that is because I think it complements our wider players better than when he sits in that kind of like midfield position. The kind of relationship with Trossard is an interesting one because they rotate so kind of like fluidly, but I think that took people by surprise. It was a bit of a novelty, and I wonder if teams will just kind of be like, okay, we know exactly what they're doing now. I think the combination of Jorginho, Rice, and Havertz up front is my favourite, because I think Jorginho makes Rice better, even better than he normally is, because Jorginho can kind of play in that sort of central position. And then the goal that I think for me kind of sums, well, it wasn't a goal. Exactly, it wasn't a goal. Kai basically pulling it wide. That was a kind of like perfect passage of play for me that sums up what Kai could be if he was a bit more of a clinical finisher. But the fact that he can kind of play in both, I think gives us a lot of flexibility. But I quite like him up top, but it's good that we can rotate him for Trossard. Jesus can kind of go in there. He can kind of go on the right. We have a lot of the sort of similar players in that position, but for me, it's the combination of Jorginho, Rice, Havertz, which is the kind of like key pivot in our team.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like we have so many different options, and like the one thing I do like about Kai when he is up front is that he's up front. Like one of my biggest things is like sometimes when like other players play in that false nine, they're anywhere but in the striker position, and he does kind of occupy center backs. He throws his weight around, he wins headers, he does all those types of things. And yes, he missed kind of like a really obvious chance, but he did score one. And so we see that even the best strikers in the world miss chances. So I like him as an option up there, and I feel like I'm hoping to see Arteta use it more going down the stretch, because like it's what people call like our big game lineup. It's Kai up front and Rice and Jorginho. I just feel like it's weird when we play two DMs. I do feel like we feel more attacking than when we play with one. And I don't know if that's because we get the passing from Jorginho and the control that we don't get. Cause it's like, even when we play two like number 10/number 8s, I don't feel like we're as attacking. I feel like Jorginho really does something special in there for us. And so, yeah, I don't know. There's probably scenarios where Jorginho wouldn't be the best option, but I think I would love to see that lineup a little bit more, because every time we play it, I feel like it just works. Like it just works.
I feel and I feel like Jorginho with his experience and calmness is a big game player. He is the one that you look to, and I think when Odegaard came off, he gave Jorginho he gave it to Gabriel. But I see Jorginho in that kind of leadership position in the middle of the field.
Yeah, agreed. So my moment is going to be, wait, it just went out of my head. What was it? It was, I think my moment of the game is, what was it? I was thinking about it. Now I'm like, because you said
there were a couple of like really just good little micro moments, like Saka took an unreal touch in the middle of the park to basically turn
there's so many moments.
Ben
I
White
feel
just killed Anthony Gordon.
yeah, when he laid down on the ground. I feel like
Yeah.
it was one of the moments earlier on. I'll find it. I'll figure it out.
Mhm.
But it was one of the moments early on when I realized that we were going to beat them up. It was like it really was. It was one of those moments where one of our players left. Bruno G laid flat on the ground, and I was just like, this is what we need sometimes. We need to have people come to the Emirates and know that they're not involved in the game at all. Like, you're going to get killed, and like, so you might as well get back on the bus and just go home.
Yeah.
This is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes I feel like, oh damn, somebody's coming off on a stretcher.
Oh.
Gravenberg. Caicedo
Oh no.
hurt him. Yeah. Caicedo. He's a little wild, that one. He has quite a few on his list that he's gotten. But damn, that sucks for Liverpool. Oh well. But yeah, I just like to see, like, Odegaard, he made a bad tackle early, but I was like, that's fine. Like, it's early on in
Yeah.
the game. Like, I just like to see our team, like, really up for it, willing to show that they're willing to, like, fight. Because the thing that I hate the most is that commentators still say that stupid thing about, like, if you just push Arsenal around, they'll
Oh,
fold.
it's so lazy. That's not been the
Yeah,
case for years
years.
now. Yeah.
Years. Under Mikel, we've never been that team. And so I'm trying to understand, like, why they keep saying it. But I feel like people are starting to realize that, like, yeah, like, you play against Arsenal, you're going to get thrown around as well. And it's not just our center backs that are strong and physical. It's like everybody is going to get stuck in. And I love that because Newcastle need that, because one of the things about Newcastle that I hate is that they've adopted this brand of being like this very, like, almost like a classic British team that is, like, from, like, the olden days, so they can, like, they fly through tackles and they just do everything like the normal, like, the regular way, and, like, no frills about it. And it's like, no, they just play dirty. They
Yeah.
just
Let's just call it what it
yeah,
is here. It's not, always,
it's not special. Like, it's not anything special. It's like they're fouling people and breaking people's legs,
but
but
it's
okay.
also it's so inherent in that club because Alan Shearer tweeted during that game, can someone just put an effing tackle in? And you're like, that's not the problem here, Alan. You're getting played off the park. Like, I'll just go in a good hard tackle and we'll get back in this game. No, you are so far away from us in terms of
Yeah.
standard. Your brand of good old fashioned British football is not going to work here.
No, it's definitely not. And we're not just going to tiki-taka around you, like, we're getting into it as well. So I feel like that was kind of like my moment of the game. Like, earlier on, we saw those early tackles coming in from Arsenal. They were pressing the life out of Newcastle. It was like suffocating them to the point where they couldn't pass the ball. And the commentator was just like, Newcastle were just so sloppy. And I was like, they're sloppy because I don't know if they thought we were going to sit off of them or something like that, but I genuinely think they were surprised at how aggressive we were being. I don't know if Eddie Howe said, "Oh, well, if you guys just, they're not going to they're going to try to pass it around you." Like, no, like, we're just going to press the shit out of you and take it off your toe. Like, I don't know what Eddie Howe was telling them, but they were not
that's
prepared for the game. They were not
that's what
prepared
one thing.
for the game.
They were not prepared, and they had so much longer than us to prepare. They've had a week. We've had 2 days. Like, what have you been doing other
Pathetic.
than walking? I don't know what you've been doing. I have no idea what their game plan was. That's the one thing I'm like. We know how they play, as we've just discussed, but they were not able to do that because they did not have the ball and they could not get anywhere near us because we moved the ball so quickly. So what else have you got?
Yeah.
Nothing is the answer to that. Absolute nothing. There was no they just gave nothing. I have no
They
idea
weren't
what the
in
kind
it.
of like approach was. You were not in this game. It was a complete non-performance.
Yeah, and when you realize that, like, that's the thing about the commentators too. They're like, it's like they I know you guys watched our last couple of games because you commentated on them.
Mm-hmm.
How long are you guys going to pretend as though it's just all these teams just magically don't play well against us?
Yeah.
We're making them so bad. Like, they literally just cannot play against us. And I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. They're not in the game. They're not
Mm-hmm.
in the game. So listen, Newcastle, you got Arsenal. Like, you really did. You came
Yeah.
all the way down. How long is the drive? Is it 4
It's
hours?
sure it is a very, very long way, probably more. And obviously, because the game kicked off at 8, those Newcastle fans would have had to stay over in London. So because there's no way they would have been able to get home because the game finished at 10 o'clock at night, which is too late for the train. So I hope you had a lovely day out in London. and a lovely journey home, because the best part of your day was not that match.
It
It
was
was
not at the
probably the
Emirates.
fact you had a lovely day out, but for that 90 minutes, you got absolutely slapped. And I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that we conceded, because it gave them something to be happy about. But
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, it was Willick. Like, I was
yeah,
like, you just had
okay.
to. You just had to. Okay. But it's basically like Arsenal scored all 5 goals. So there you go.
Exactly. It's fine at 5-0 in my book. So, fine. Off you go.
Exactly.
Off you go back to the north, and you can take your British football with you.
Your brand that you concocted. Like, I just they just everything about them just it like agitates. The humbling of Newcastle this season has been brilliant to see. Player of the match for you.
I like Joe. I'm just going to jump on that bandwagon. It's got to be Jorginho. I know he got man of the match, and he
Yeah.
was the official one, but he was the difference, because he gave us the control that we needed. They also just gave him loads of space, and I'm like, this, I don't know. Again, what was your game plan here to let Jorginho just run the show? And yeah, I think I don't care if he doesn't play in the small games. If we just keep him fit for the big games, fine. That's okay with me. And Thomas Partey's not coming back. He is basically dead to me now, and that's fine. If Jorginho is going to carry on playing like this, great. I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah. I agree. Like, this, it's crazy because he's had at least 3 or 4 man of the match performances since being at Arsenal, despite playing such little minutes. Like, I think he ended up being man of the match against Newcastle last season away from home.
Yeah, he was at St James Park. He was man of the match, and I think that was the first time people were like, "Oh, damn! Okay, this is not the usual guff we get from Chelsea. This is a good player."
Yeah, exactly. It's like he showed his quality, and like I still feel like people were just upset that we bought him, so they wouldn't accept it. And then he did another one he was really good against Man City this season at home, but he didn't get man of the match, but I thought he was really good. Man of the match against Liverpool, man of the match again, today or yesterday. So he's for 10 million, 12 million, or whatever the hell it was. I think he's been good value for money. Good experience, I feel like it's just as simple as putting players in positions where they can be successful and not exposing them. And Arteta does a really good job doing that. Like I think he knows, as a midfielder that didn't have legs, what you need in order to like make sure that player doesn't get just ran over. He did a good job with Saka. He's doing a really good job with Jorginho. And like you said earlier, he makes Declan Rice better. The balance is like perfect. And so Declan can do his run you over, nick the ball off of you, run up the pitch thing. And Jorginho can do the chefing it up at the base thing. And so it all works. It all works. So yeah, I kind of agree with you that he definitely was like player of the match on paper, all that kind of stuff. Like yesterday in the Emirates, everything. I now have to pick someone else.
Can you please pick Martinelli, because Femi's not here?
Yeah, I'll pick Martinelli. I think Martinelli actually was very dangerous. Like very dangerous. I mean, he got the assist. He had one like shot that was kind of wild, but it was like, damn, like he was on like another level. It was like they gave him some sugar before the game and he was just like on a sugar rush or something like that. The header, like you said, it was a little high for him, but Martinelli is not afraid to get in the box and try to score a goal. I thought this was a really, really good game for him. I still want to see him get more on the team sheet, or on the team sheet, on the score sheet, but it just kind of felt like he was a lot freer and not like as like worried about making a mistake, if that makes sense. Like he was good. He was good. And yeah, he's really important to our front line, because again, like you have Saka and you have Odegaard that are important, but Martinelli definitely is like a part of like when he's playing well, we play better too. So yeah, I liked his performance yesterday. What'd you think of it?
I think it was impressive, considering I think he was our poorest player on Wednesday. So
yeah,
I think he is one of those players, I think, that tends to bounce back really hard. Sometimes it takes us a game resting him, or kind of giving him 20 minutes into the match and he comes on, but he is one of those players that kind of tends to turn it around pretty quickly. And I think, that is performance summarised by the run that he made, Jorginho ball over the top, and then he's cut it back perfectly. And to be fair, that ball from Jorginho is like maybe slightly heavy, but he still makes it, look really easy. Just preventing the ball from going off and then cutting it back. And I feel like he was tormenting whoever their fullback is, but it was just like kind of vintage Martinelli performance that we kind of expect from him, which I think is, again, really impressive given how poor he was on Wednesday. But I feel like when he came off the pitch on Wednesday, he knew he'd been really poor. I think from his body language, like you could kind of see he was like, nah, I fucked that one up. That wasn't good. So for him to recover and put in a solid 8 out of 10, great. Like that's what we expect from him.
His strength is really in his intensity. I feel like the more intense and sharp he is, the better he is. And he's never going to be a touchline winger type. Are they about to let Chelsea score? What the fuck? Liverpool is like playing so bad. They're playing so bad. But when he doesn't have to think as much, when he's direct and intense, he's so much better than when he has to think about things too long. And I feel like yesterday he didn't have to, and everything was like instinctual. And something about the goal that we scored, the Kai goal, was just like so like direct. And I loved it because of course it like had the elements of like, oh, that's the Arsenal way. But it was a long ball into Martinelli, who came from the other side. He took a good touch, good cross, and then into Kai. I loved it. But again, like when Martinelli doesn't have to think, I think he's so much better. So well done to him. I think we have to talk about Kiwior though a little bit too, because like he had another good game. He's coming up like good for us because again, where's Tommy and where's Zinni? Like, where are they? Do they exist? Did we freaking like imagine them? Like some of these players, I'm just like, did we dream them?
Yeah, where are they?
Because they're not anywhere around. And I'm just like, Arteta's like, they'll come back on. I'm like, wow, like, I don't think they're coming back. Like, I don't know if they're actually coming back or not.
I don't know if Tomiyasu's coming. Like, Tomiyasu, the wording that Arteta used in his press conference concerned me. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a period on the sidelines. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What does that mean?
Remember when it was like last season, I think, where he just never gave a return date for Dami. And we're all just like, is he coming back? Is what's going on? And then the season just ended and they're just like no information on Tommy. I feel like something's going on with him. I'll be honest. I genuinely think something's going on with him. I have a feeling that we won't see Thomas Partey either, just by the way that Arteta just, it's like he comes back, and then he just goes away. He comes back and just goes away. So something weird is happening there. I do feel like Zinchenko and Jesus will come back eventually, but Kiwior playing well is something that I feel like people couldn't have predicted maybe a month or so ago, because he hadn't played so well. He had like a mixed bag. Like sometimes he would play okay, and then he would have a disaster class, or he gets beat up by whatever PSV player. I don't know, because let me just say this: the admin for the Champions League account on Twitter is 100% an Arsenal fan. They just are, because every game week he's talking about Arsenal. But he put out the clip of Bakayoko just absolutely burning freaking Kiwior, and I was like, how dare you go against us? You can never go against the family.
He's just trying to be a bit balanced.
Yeah, I was like, why is he showing this? And then it just reminded me of like where Kiwior's kind of came from, because after that game, he was largely written off, as somebody that was like a bad signing. Why did we bring him in? He's been waste, whatever. And I do think he had a really good game again yesterday. Yeah, he didn't play well in midweek, but nobody did. What did you make of his performance? Like, am I gassing it, or was it actually really good?
No, I think it was. I think it was really good. I think he, now that we are just playing him like the player that he is and not trying to make him do something he can't, it's clear that he can excel at what he does. Like, we don't need to be pushing. He doesn't need to do what Zinchenko does. He's not Tomiyasu. He's not going to overlap. He's not going to invert. Like, just play him, because he's a centre back, isn't he, by preference? So just let him do what he does on the left-hand side of the pitch, which is be solid. He's also got quite a good kind of relationship on the left with Martinelli and Trossard with a throw in as well. I feel like at any point we could be in on goal if he's quick enough to come and get the ball and chuck it back on the pitch. Great, so he's solid in terms of what he does defensively. I think he does offer something positive going forward. Like, it's not particularly exciting, but it's like weirdly effective. And I think he has certainly done what we needed for him to do and more. So I'm happy to gas him up. I'm happy he scored as well. He looked really super pumped. And he's also really young. So you're like, okay, you've been asked to essentially step into this Arsenal team who are looking to, win their first title in many years. He had a really bad game at Fulham, but I think since then we have played him appropriately in relation to the player that he is and not the player that we thought we wanted him to be. Let Zinchenko do the Zinchenko role. He's the only player in the world that can do that. Let Kiwior just be a good old fashioned left back, good old fashioned whatever. And he's good at it. So let him just do it.
He has this really good like around the corner pass that he kept doing. He did it like once against Porto, but he did it a couple more times against Newcastle. And I'm just like, we're finally seeing a little bit of that passing range. I feel like that's what we kind of knew about when he came from, where was he at? Spezia, Italy. Was that his passing range was really good. And so he's a good passer of the ball. Like, he's definitely not Zinchenko in that way, but he's a good player. And I've always maintained that he just needed time to adapt. It's hard to play as a fullback for Arteta. It's probably beyond the lone six, it's the hardest position to play because you have to do so many things. So I thought he had a really good game as well. And we're better off for it because I didn't know where this was going. Like a month ago, I was like, is he going to ever come good? Does he just need more time? And now he looks like he's really settling in. Last but not least, I do want to just say a couple of words on Saka. How many more goals does he have to score until people just accept that he's a world-class player? Like, it's actually asinine now that people are just like, but he has to do it here. He has to do it there. It's just like, no, I don't think so. I think we're looking at one of the most complete players in the world right now. He can do it all. And just because he doesn't do fucking step overs for no reason, doesn't mean that he's not world class. I mean, the lengths that people go to try to pretend like Bukayo Saka is not top 3 in his position, like, is ridiculous. I thought he had another fantastic game. He was on smoke. His goal was great. It's crazy how different they looked from week. Like, it's like they look like different players. It's insane. But I thought he was fantastic once again. And he's having a world-class season. I'm just like, how far can we go? I mean, what does he have? Like 16 goals and 13 assists or some nonsense like that. I mean, we're talking about like 40 goal contributions potentially for a 22-year-old. Like, let's be fucking for real. Like, the guy is world-class. Like, let's stop the nonsense,
But people just, it's just, you move in the goalposts every time. Everyone's like, but he's not done it in the Champions League. And say we go through against Porto, but he's not done it in the semi-final. Right, just shut up, man. Like, the mental gymnastics to deny undoubtedly the kind of one of the best players in the world at the moment. His credit is just wild. And fundamentally, I don't care. I don't care what you have to say, Rio. I just don't care. You're wrong. And that's the end of it. Also, unless we're all going to agree on what the criteria is for world class, we're going to be doing this till the cows come home, because unless there is some sort of set criteria and we all measure each player against that, which there isn't, because world class is an adjective, it's not an achievement, right? Then we're going to be doing this forever. So if he's one of the best players in the world, let's just say he's world class. End of discussion.
I mean,
Martinelli, literally world class. Yeah.
It's so obvious that he's like a world-class player. I'm just like, why are we pretending
why
he's
are we doing
not?
This? Yeah.
And the thing about Rio, that why nobody should ever take him serious, because he's the person that sat up there on TV and was like, give Ollie the contract and let him write what he wants on this contract and how long he wants to stay. His opinion is so bad. Like, he's so blinded by his Unitedness that he just literally cannot fathom that.
And I am world class. Like, I am begging for the next kind of generation of ex-players to hurry up and get a seat in that Punditry studio, because I am bored
Of the
of
same guys.
of the set. I'm so bored of it. I'm bored of Carragher. I'm bored of Rio Ferdinand, because, as you said, he can't see beyond United. Same with Gary Neville. All Carragher thinks about is Liverpool. Like, please, can we just have someone else? And I agree. You sat there and banged your head on the table about giving Ollie what he wanted, and yet here we are in 2024, and you're losing in the 97th minute to Fulham. So just be quiet and stay in your lane.
By the way, that rounded off my weekend so well. I'm like,
Oh.
them losing, I'm like, okay, great. So I get to watch United View and United Stand and Goldbridge and all that stuff and watch them fall apart because they've been the definition of getting away with it over the last couple of weeks. They have not played well, not in a single freaking game, but they won 4 magically. I hate that.
Yeah.
And so they had to go down to Iwobi and Traore. Like, I mean, that is amazing. Like,
yeah,
oh,
I'm like, oh, what's happened?
I was like, oh, they fight. Oh, like a little, like, what's going on? Oh, they still fighting.
Yes. Is there like a ruckus?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who it was. Oh, the Bradley. I don't know. All I know is somebody's getting yellows. Caldwell or Chilwell, one of those. All I know is that was probably the most entertaining part of that half was the little melee at the end. Like, good job, guys. Because this has been as always is Chelsea versus Liverpool in a domestic final. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was Chilwell and Bradley.
Oh, cringe. Cringe.
But yeah, Rio, no. We know it's world class, and Bukayo Saka is definitely it. And yeah, we go on to the next game is against Sheffield.
Yeah, we're away at Sheffield United, then Porto, then Brentford.
All right. So we got a couple of decent games where we should be winning them. I'm just looking to see what happened to Sheffield today. Did they get bopped? Oh no, it was only 1-0. It was only 1-0. So, but they were fighting on the pitch against each other today. So
excellent.
Yeah. So we should be scoring at least 5 there at Bramall Lane. I don't know, whatever it's called. So, but yeah,
it's Bramall Lane. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this game, and yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else really to say. You guys. Go ahead. Final thoughts.
Hang on, my computer's about to die. Hang on.
Yeah, we're about to get out of here. But
okay. Yeah. No, nothing more to say.
Okay. We're gonna get out of here. Make sure you guys let us know what you guys thought about the episode. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.